You're still listening to 92.3 Nigeria Info. I've been struggling to connect with my guest for the hour. Remember, I told you I will be speaking with two lawyers as it relates to the judgment that was released on Friday, last week Friday, concerning the Action People's Party's petition against the 27 lawmakers of the Rivers State House of Assembly, and it bordered on defection, if they're still members of the political party or not. Now, we've seen different reactions and interpretation to that judgment. However, what that judgment, according to lawyers, what that judgment implies is that the law recognizes, as of now, and I was telling Susie not too long ago that the judgment is not absolute, but as of now, the court recognizes the 27. It becomes absolute when the Supreme Court makes a declaration on that very matter. All right, I'm supposed to have God's Power Egbule Esquire and Choma Choko Esquire as my guest. My goodness, for some reason the network isn't allowing me to connect. All right, so while I'm waiting for, I think I do have one person on. I will try to get the order eventually. All right, so I've got God's Power Egbule Esquire joining me right now. Hopefully, Choma Choko will join me as well, two lawyers, to look at this very issue that has plagued Rivers State since, December 2023. The arguments as to who is the authentic member of the Rivers State House of Assembly, if they defected, if they did not. Remember, before then, there was also the struggle as to who the Speaker of the House of Assembly in Rivers State is, or was. I don't know right now. I don't know what's the right way to describe it. But yeah, I am Kaladako Rubatibo. This is Hard Facts, and it's my pleasure to have you on the other side of the radio. All right, quickly, God's Power Egbule, welcome on the show. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. My pleasure always.
All right. All right, welcome. So, can you explain for us, in your opinion, in your legal opinion, what transpired on Friday, the 20th of September, 2024?
Okay, quickly, Mr. Kalada, up to now, we still have litigants who are contesting the authenticity of the speakership of the Rivers State House of Assembly.
Okay.
And I have held this opinion by which I stand, that Right Honorable Martin Samehule remains the Speaker of the Rivers State House of Assembly. Then you had the APP, the Institutional Democratic Court, further to their relief to restrain the Right Honorable Martin Samehule and the 26 lawmakers for court to declare that they are not members of the Rivers State House of Assembly. And the court dismissed that suit, pointing irresistibly to the conclusion the Right Honorable Martin Samehule remains the Speaker of the Rivers State House of Assembly. And I have said that it is not in contention, except perhaps one decides to become emotional. But that if you take a look at the provisions of the law, Right Honorable Martin Samehule remains the Speaker of the Rivers State House of Assembly.
Okay.
And also, this also goes to show that despite the avalanche, the plethora of legal cases, who is the Speaker of the Rivers State House of Assembly has never been in dispute.
Now, I was going to ask, when the courts mentioned the case was status barred, what did you know, the judge or the justice imply when he said, when that declaration was made? What did the Court of Appeal, or rather the Federal High Court, mean by that statement?
Okay, Mr. Canada, do not forget that all of these cases, you cannot mention them without taking a look at the judgment of Honorable Justice J.K. Omotosho. I have always said that the judgment of Honorable Justice Omotosho remains like the Rock of Gibraltar. Until it is moved, no other case can determine who is the Speaker of the River State House of Assembly. Now, the parties have a limited time within the time frame within which to appeal that judgment, which they have not done. And you see, the Federal High Court cannot sit, as an appellate court over another decision of the Federal High Court. That's exactly what the judge said. That I cannot sit as an appellate court over the decision of my brother judge. And so if you're not comfortable, if you have reservations about the judgment of Honorable Justice Jacob Motosho, then you have a right to appeal. But until you appeal, you can't continue to do forum shopping. You go to one court, the court gives a judgment against you, you still go to another court. Both courts concurrent and coordinate jurisdiction. That's exactly what has been happening. And you see, no judge would want to determine the same matters that have been determined by Honorable Justice Jacob Motosho. That's exactly what the court said.
Now, Barrister Egule, now the court, if I understand very well, also mentioned the issue, or dealt with the issue of defection. Correct me if I'm wrong, because after the court session, Martin Ameule was recorded saying that they did not defect, and I think there was a lawyer from the PDP who, also said something similar, that they did not defect and they're still members of the PDP.
I have held this view that
Magide Egule. All right, I do feel we're having a network issue with that connection. So let's now welcome Choko Choma, Esquire, on the show. Barrister Choma, can you hear me?
But if you can do me a favor, don't be tune down your radio set. This is actually echoing. I'm having a whole back and there is a lot of noise. I wouldn't know.
Okay, can you hear me now?
I am struggling to, but I can manage it anyway.
All right, so the network is really terrible, I should say. But, let's get your own legal interpretation or legal opinion to
Canada, kindly tune down. Please, the noise is much, yeah?
Can you hear me now?
Hello?
Oh, my. Can you hear me now? All right.
Hello? Hello?
Yes, but I'm wondering if you can hear me, because if you can't, then we would have to...
Your background music is high.
But there is no background music, actually.
Yes.
Can you hear me now?
The problem.
All right, Choma Chiku, just stay.
Yes, I can hear you clearly now.
Okay, so let's go on then.
Let me get the question.
I was asking what your legal interpretation to Justice Leafull's judgment was or is, but I do have a commercial break. So I would have to ask you to stay on the line. When I do come back, I'll take your opinion, and God's power, you would continue also from where you left off. So please, gentlemen, please do stay on the line while I go for the commercial break. Thank you.
It's okay. I'll be waiting.
I've got Chama Choko and I've got Gospel Igbule, and we are looking at the judgment of the Federal High Court in Abuja as it relates to the River State House of Assembly. Remember, a decision was before that court instituted by the Actions People Party, asking, for some kind of interpretation as to whether the 27, like I like to call them, are still members of the House of Assembly. All right. So welcome, Chama Choko. Let's quickly get your view before we go back to God's power. Let's get your interpretation of that judgment.
Thank you very much, my dear brother Kalada, and to my learned friend, Dr. Ebule. While he was talking, I carefully listened to his analysis. And in my little wisdom, I do not agree with him, not just to an extent, but totally I do not agree with his analysis, even though I would state here that we're not here to make an opposing argument or any of that. The point remains that there is a germane and pertinent question which Rivers people, as of today, and by virtue of the judgment of the Federal High Court, expects an answer, if not from the courts, from INEC, so to speak. And that is the question for which we brought to our front burner to react to. It is not in my place to determine who is the authentic speaker of the Rivers State House of Assembly as of today. I have opined this before in your station, and I will maintain the day the Supreme Court will make a decision that neither of the divisional assembly in Rivers State or any of the peace or any of the national assemblies in Rivers State has any legitimate right to transact legitimately by virtue of the litigation that pending in court. So to say that the only person that has enjoyed right to ask is or the assembly that was awarded by the latest court of appointment made some in Port which was delivered through a visual Abuja. The statute of the State House of Assembly delivers by virtue of the judgment of justice. If you look at the judgment, it is crystal clear that judgment did or tamper the substantive matter which bordering on the Rivers Assembly. The judge only means, in fact, the judgment, what it only did was to make pronouncements based on technicality. In fact, that the action that was committed by the AP party better than contemplated in the steps. What it is that, young ladies, you should have action matter before period. And the question is, are there other matters pending or touching on the same subject matter that is pending in any of the courts in Nigeria? If the answer is yes, it therefore means that even the decision of the Honorable Justice Laif does not still.
All right. I think we've lost
assembly.
Okay.
Are you with me, sir?
Are you with me? I can hear you now.
Very well. So to the best of my knowledge, the conflict that is ravaging the State House of Assembly, that is found in the State House of Assembly, is still there because there is no categorical answer from any competent court of jurisdiction that has made pronouncement as to any of the.
So I was going to ask
any
you,
of the factional.
Sorry, Choma, I was going to ask you this question now, if you can hear me. Are you saying
Yes.
that no court has given any substantive judgment as it relates to the crisis in River State House of Assembly? Because the factions will say, oh, this court order, that court judgment, that's what backs my decision.
Okay, look at it this way. As at the time Honorable Justice Enwale gave her decision relating to the same subject matter, that judgment or decision, interlocutory judgment, where the decision was actually appealed to the Court of Appeal. The Court of Appeal made pronouncement on it that the substantive matter, as a matter of fact, ought not to have been instituted in the first place in that court. And that if there is any court that has jurisdiction to adjudicate on that matter, it should have been the Federal High Court, probably in Port Harcourt. Now, any other decision emanating from the Federal High Court, that decision cannot be set by virtue of entering an appeal at the Supreme Court. That decision of the Federal High Court, to the best of my knowledge, is kept in abeyance until the Supreme Court makes either that have advised the Supreme Court that the decision of the Federal Court can now be addressed. But as of today, there is a pending application before the Supreme Court touching on the authenticity, the veracity, or otherwise of the decision of the Court of Appeal. So until that matter is determined in the Supreme Court and then possibly ruled against or in favor of Right Honorable Okomo, and the matter which most of the other party or factional assembly members are relying on cannot be discussed. But as of today, what members of the State of Assembly led by Oko Jumbo are looking at is the matter that is pending before the Supreme Court. So until that matter, because the Supreme Court is the apex court, is determined, any other action touching on the subject matter, to the best of my knowledge, an exercise in futility.
Okay, let me pause you now. Let's go back to Barrister Igbule.
Mr. Canada.
Yes,
Mr.
let's
Canada.
get your thoughts.
Let me just make one or two comments with respect to what my learned friend Choma Chukwu has said. First of all, Mr. Canada, the Constitution does not contemplate that there will be a vacuum, in the Rivers State House of Assembly. If you take a look at the provisions of Section 4, it says that the legislative powers of a state is vested in the House of Assembly. Then you go to Section 90 of the Constitution, which talks about the composition, function, structure, and the rest of the House of Assembly. The Constitution did not contemplate that at a point in time, the House of Assembly will be in political hibernation, inactive, inoperative. That's not the contemplation of a Constitution. That's number one. Number two, every other judgment relating to the House of Assembly has always been given in favor of Right Honorable Martins Amehuli. Let me clarify a point. The order of Wali was appealed against to the Court of Appeal. The Court of Appeal said that Honorable Justice Wali does not have the locus, does not have the jurisdiction to determine that matter. As to whether they have appealed to the Supreme Court, Mr. Kalada, I can't tell. I have not seen the notice of appeal, and I have not seen their brief of argument. Yes. Just hold on. I have not seen. If I ask my learned friend, Choma Chukwu, now, what is the appeal number? What is the appeal number at the Supreme Court? If he can tell us the appeal number, has a notice of appeal been filed? Have briefs of argument been made? But irrespective of that, once a court of competent jurisdiction gives judgment with respect to contending matters between parties, that judgment operates by force of law. And until it is overturned, that is the law.
But Barrister Igbule,
I think Barrister Igbule,
I want to throw a question at you.
Just hold on. You ask me.
Okay, go ahead.
It is. Hold on. It is. I've never heard where a judge, a competent court, would give a judgment, and somebody will be saying until the Supreme Court overturns it, that judgment is in abeyance. Let me tell you what will happen. If parties go to High Court and the High Court gives a judgment, that judgment binds them. These parties may choose not to go to the Court of Appeal or the Supreme Court. If they now choose to appeal, one of the parties will need to apply for a stay of execution or stay pending appeal. If it is a declaratory order that the court has given, then you will need to apply for stay pending appeal. Until the court grants it, that judgment or order of court operates automatically.
Okay. All right.
So you don't need the Supreme Court. The fact that you have even appealed does not operate as stay until a court stays its judgment. That judgment operates.
Now I would have to come in. Sorry. Now I think what Barrister Choma Chukwu was saying was and still is that there is already a matter at the Supreme Court. So can a federal high court still look at a similar matter or give judgment on such matters that is already before a Supreme Court? I think that's the argument Choma is trying to make.
No. Don't say the thing now. Say the flawed argument. What is at the Supreme Court is not whether they are still members of the House of Assembly. What is at the Supreme Court is whether Honorable Justice Wali has the jurisdiction to entertain the matter.
Okay.
That is what is at the Supreme Court. So you cannot say that by virtue of, even if they appeal to the Supreme Court, the only thing they are going to ask is, does the state high court have jurisdiction to determine matters relating to the defection of members of the House of Assembly? Don't forget, you would always fall back to Section 273 of the Constitution, which says that it's a federal high court. So Honorable Justice Wali proceeded to entertain a matter when he didn't have jurisdiction. The other parties appealed to the Court of Appeal. The Court of Appeal said, Honorable Justice Wali, you do not have the jurisdiction to determine the subject matter has not been determined. So anybody who tells you that what the Supreme Court will do is to determine the matters on the merits, is obviously turning the law upside down.
Okay.
Because the subject matter at the Supreme Court, it's even whether Honorable Justice Wali has the jurisdiction to determine the matter.
All right, let me pause you now.
So the merits of the case is not at the Supreme Court.
Okay, let's go back to Choma Chuku now. Choma,
You see, there is a missing link, there is a missing argument which my learned friend had posited or failed to address or failed to argue rightly here. The point is that, frankly speaking, the position or the matter which is now before the Supreme Court is that whether or not, that is even part of it, because all of us listened and we heard when the Court of Appeal for that court delivered a litany of decisions touching on the subject matter. Now the question is, because all of us are aware that there is no crystal clear decision of any court touching on the subject matter. Now the question is that, as at the time this issue or this cacophony actually arose in Rivers State, there was a pronouncement that was made by the then sitting Speaker of the Rivers State House of Assembly, notifying INEC as to the vacancy of 6 of 27 members of the Rivers State House of Assembly. That was.
Can I inform?
Wait,
I did not interject when I finish. Even though whether or not my argument is right, be patient. You're going to state your own part. Now, as at that time, Right Honorable Enye Edison had notified the Electoral Commission or body of the vacancy in the State House of Assembly. And by virtue of his resignation, there was need, which he has even agreed, that the State House of Assembly cannot exist in vacuum. There was need for other legitimate member of the State House of Assembly whose position was not in question to assume the position of the speakership as against these persons whose positions or membership of the State House of Assembly were even in question. That enthroned the leadership of Oko Jumbo as it is. Now the question is that, as at the time they advanced the State High Court, rightly or wrongly, they proceeded to the Court of Appeal. The Court of Appeal, in her wisdom, did not also make any pronouncement as to the substantive matter. If we look at that section 109, that details on the procedure, that exercise was fully carried out by the then Speaker of the Rivers State House of Assembly, which is Right Honorable Edison, who made the pronouncement and notified INEC as to the vacancy of this seat. So what INEC was expected. Hello, are you with me?
I can hear you loud and clear. Go ahead.
Okay. What INEC would have done at the material time and upon that notification was to confirm, to convey or carry out that election, seeing the vacancies in the State House of Assembly. Okay. But they failed to do that for reasons best known to them. Now they proceeded to the Court of Appeal. And the Court of Appeal said no, that the pronouncement of the State High Court validating the position of Right Honorable Oko Jumbo was not done on merit by virtue of the statutory provision, because the courts derived their jurisdiction from the Constitution. Okay. So the court couldn't have floated itself with that jurisdiction. So the court said no, that the right court to make this order is the Federal High Court. Now the question is that at that material time, even the Court of Appeal did not determine whether it was right or wrong. Okay. So what the court did was to say that the decision of the State High Court validating this particular action was not as contemplated by the statute of maybe the Constitution as it were. Right. So they proceeded to say, okay, because we are aware, because we know that maybe the Constitution also provides for certain actions to be carried out by the State House of Assembly, they proceeded to the Supreme Court to get the final verdict on that particular act. Whether or not it touches on the substantive matter, what is of germane, what is of major concern is that all courts that is below the Supreme Court must exercise absolute patience until the Supreme Court makes a decision, which will be a final decision on the part that they have taken to the Supreme Court. And then if they return, they cannot come back to appeal the decision that was made by Honorable Justice Omotosho, assuming there is any decision of that nature. But as of today, the judgment that all of us are facing in Rivers State is the pronouncement of the Court of Appeal that recognizes the actions of the State House of Assembly, the State High Court in Rivers State, and nothing more than that.
All right, now, Barrister,
Mr. Kalada, before you ask me a question, because we're talking to the public.
Hold on.
No, hold on. Because we're talking to the
God's
public.
power, hold on. I do have my own question, so please hold on. I understand.
Okay.
I know how it is when you are in a courtroom. But Barrister Choma Choko, now let's go back to the INEC part.
Yes, I'm here.
INEC had responded, and INEC said they are waiting for all the litigations to be dealt with before they make any move.
Very good.
Choma, I'm not
so
done.
it will be wrong. It will be wrong because if you look at it critically,
yes.
are you with me?
Yes,
it will be wrong for anybody to clothe Right Honorable Martin Samevule with this position of the speakership in the Supreme Court or any of the courts. If, for instance, the State High Court or Federal High Court makes pronouncement recognizing Martin Samevule as a substantive speaker of the Rivers State of Assembly, and maybe Oko Jumbo, in her wisdom, elects not to challenge it, I will not come here and make this argument.
Okay.
I will tell you that Martin Samevule remains the speaker. But as of today, there are plethora of cases pending before different courts until those matters are determined.
All right,
the speakership of the Rivers State of Assembly remains on the table of Oko Jumbo.
Let's go back now to the issue of defection. They have argued in court that they have not defected, because you've taken it all the way back to Edison Aye as speaker, that period when he said he was a factional speaker, I should put it that way. But they're arguing they never defected. They have always, even the PDP has argued in court, because like I said, the lawyer was at the Federal High Court in Abuja and argued they're still PDP members.
Is that a question to me?
Yes, to you, Choma.
Okay, let me see. It is utterly embarrassing and honestly ridiculous that adults of this nature, people that ordinarily a lot of us reposed, gave our vote and our confidence to before this brouhaha, could come out today to speak from the both sides of their mouth at the same time. Some few months ago, these were the persons in various vehicles, in their chartered aircraft and all that, brandished so heavily the flag of the APC. Some few months ago, these were members who gathered at Port Harcourt Polo Club, where the factional party chairman of the All Progressive Congress, which is Tony Okocha, recognized them as the member or members of the All Progressive Party. Today again, in court. In fact, Canada, as I speak with you, there are various depositions in different courts. We are in Martin Samevule personally deposed to certain affidavits. Personally, that is no longer a member of the PDP. But all of a sudden, because there are strong arguments to the fact that by virtue of Section 109, having defected, having abandoned the political party that conveyed you as a vehicle to the State House of Assembly, you shall abandon your seat, vacate your seat by virtue of the provisions of the law. Then he saw the wisdom to quickly make a U-turn, to return to the former political party that he has deserted and rejected. Well, it is embarrassing, and I wonder if there is any sound person that can come out to make a positive argument to their favor that these persons who defected publicly, various media houses, including your radio station, carried it that they defected to all Progressive Party, can now today speak in their favor. Tell her that the truth of the matter is that, yes, I understand that this is an issue of law. But I know that if the law, for instance, has made a condition precedent, until those things are crystal clear performed, such actions shall be declared invalid. I know as a matter of fact that these persons who are now claiming to be members of the PDP openly defected to the All Progressive Party. And in fact, they signed a letter on the floor of the Rivers State of Assembly, as it were. Okay, that they were defecting to the PDP, to the All Progressive Party, and they indeed defected to the All Progressive Party. So they cannot come back today. They claim members of PDP as in Rivers State. It is impossible.
All right, thank you, Choma. I've got to go back now to Gospel Egbule. I know he has so much to say, but let's listen to you, Barrister Egbule.
Okay, Mr. Kalada.
Yeah.
First of all, number one,
Mm-hmm.
the judgment of
Oh my. Are you there, Bule?
the court of. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. We lost the connection for a bit, so let's get back to what you were saying.
Okay. The judgment of the Court of Appeal that quashed the order, the ex parte order made by Honorable Justice Wali, quashed everything that Okojumbo has done.
Okay.
So nobody can tell you that the Court of Appeal didn't put to rest the illegality of what Okojumbo has been doing. The Court of Appeal did. The Court of Appeal said that the party should return to status quo ante bellum. That is prior, before, to the starting of hostilities, where Right Honorable Martin Samehule remains the speaker. They say they have appealed. Okay, why not wait till the Supreme Court gives a judgment? And I have always said that in all of this, the judgments they have refused to refer to is a judgment of Honorable Justice J.K. Omotosho, which also quashed the entire thing that Edison did. So if you have the judgment of the Court of Appeal quashing everything that Okojumbo has done, the judgment of Honorable Justice J.K. Omotosho quashing everything that Edison has done, what are they laying claim to? What are they laying claim to? Do not also forget the judgment of Honorable Justice Bassam. Honorable Justice Bassam said, I do not have jurisdiction to entertain this matter because this is a state high court. But in the event that I have the jurisdiction to determine it, you have not been able to prove that these people defected. Let me tell you, there is a school of law which talks about the prophecies of what the court will do and nothing more, that is the law. Irrespective of any opinion you want to have, the judgment of courts given with respect to contending parties remains the law. All the litigation that people have instituted have always been thrown away, returning the parties to status quo ante bellum, referring the parties back to the fact that Right Honorable Martin Samehule remains the Speaker of the River State House of Assembly.
Okay, quickly.
Whatever any argument anybody wants to make, if you consider them plausible, they are not law.
All right.
What has the court said?
All right, quickly.
Yes, so you have the Court of Appeal. Yes, the Court of Appeal that I have told you have quashed everything that Okojumbo has done.
Egbule, I would have
the judgment of Honorable Justice Omotosho.
Egbule, I'm sorry. I would have to pause you. Time is not our friend. So what is the implication? If you say that the Federal High Court's judgment stands, Choma Choko is arguing that there is a Supreme Court case, and so the Federal High Court should not have looked at the matter in the first place. But if you argue that the court's judgment stands, what are the implications? How does this affect governance in River State, most especially the actions of the executive governor?
I have always said this, that
Okay, yet again we lost the connection. Yes, Choma Choko, I can hear. But let's. Godspot.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay, I said irrespective of any opinion anybody wants to form, we must obey the law. There is a rule of law. Now, the rule of law presupposes that anything you want to do, you do it in accordance with the provisions of the law. If you want to remove Right Honorable Martin Samehule as a speaker, the Constitution has provided lay down guidelines that you should follow. Until that is done, you cannot say Martin Samehule is not the Speaker of the River State House of Assembly. So parties must learn how to follow the tenets of the law whenever we have such political agitations, and not to be speaking, emotional, fanciful arguments when the court has been giving judgment. I have told again, let me also repeat it again. The thing at the Supreme Court has nothing to do with defection of members of the River State House of Assembly, but whether Honorable Justice Wale had jurisdiction to even determine the matter. Right. How do you now say, let us wait for when the Supreme Court will give judgment, when you know that the grounds of appeal have not...
You have not answered the implications it will have on governance in River State. I mean, that's what...
Look at the implications. Look at the implications. The implications now is that those who are around the governor, I don't know, for whatever interest they seem to pursue, have distracted the governor. So rather than focusing on governance, the governor seems to be too busy, funding litigations, that are apparently not grounded in law.
That's an allegation that he's funding them. We don't have proof to that effect.
Very well, but I'm telling you that he appears so distracted. Governance is almost at the backstage. Look at what is happening. Right. So it's a weapon. The weapon is, to portray hate. Hate is not a strategy. Hate is not a political strategy. See, since October last year that all of this political matter started, he has obviously lost all the cases. All right. I mean, you can't sit down to know that this is absolutely a distraction. Right, the House of Assembly does not sit at the behest of the governor. All right. The House of Assembly does not exist at the chagrin of the governor.
Egule, I would have to stop you. So my time is up. Choma Chukwu, let's get your thoughts, implications of the Federal High Court. You're saying there is a matter at the Supreme Court, and that in itself has made the potency of the Federal High Court lesser than it should.
Because for paucity of time, let me quickly rush to say that my learned friend on the other part understands that even at the moment the notice of appeal is entered, the decision of the Court of Appeal, as a matter of fact, becomes also... Are you there?
We can listen. God's power. Let's allow him have his thoughts, please. Time is up.
Sorry, I'm listening.
Are you there?
I can hear you, Choma Chukwu.
Hello, Canada.
I can hear you, Choma Chukwu.
Are you there?
Yes, I can hear you.
Now, at the moment an appeal is entered, the decision of the Court of Appeal, as a matter of fact, also becomes a silent decision. And then what is to speak is the decision of the Supreme Court at the moment it is delivered. Now, what we have is that there is a notice of appeal which has been entered by the Oku Jumbo-led House of Assembly. Now, the question is whether or not that appeal is entered to contest the declaration of the decision of the Court of Appeal declaring illegal or null and void the actions of the Oku Jumbo.
I have to pause you.
Nigeria Info. Right back after this.
365 days of conflict. Hamas attack.